Hey everybody, Country Paramedic checking back in on this Monday morning. Hope everybody's doing well today. Today, we're actually gonna do a project together. We're gonna grow some tomatoes together. And this is gonna be the first of this series. This is gonna be how to grow a tomato plant. And for this plant, we're gonna start it all the way from seed and we're gonna grow it all the way till we get tomatoes. And we're gonna teach you guys that have never grown anything before at home so that you guys can get involved. So if you got a little pot sitting at home and you got some seeds laying around, I invite you to throw them in the pot with us as we do this together. So today we have some grandma's pick slicing tomatoes is what we're going to be planting together. And so the first thing I'd like to recommend if you're a beginner gardener is to always read the back of your seed packet, because it tells you all the important information you need to know. As this one, it says that it takes 6 to 14 days to germinate, which is really important information to know. Usually 70 to 90 degrees for germination to occur, and then 1/4 inch for seed spacing. So all of that is very important information that we all need to know before we get these tomatoes planted. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our little pots here, and a little sow and sip tip I recommend if you buy plants like I do is to hold on to these little containers, because they always come in handy. You can't ever have enough of them, and they can get expensive if you just try to buy them offhand to start plants in. So we're gonna get a good amount of soil in here. My other one's trying to fly away. You're gonna make sure that soil is really loose so it can aerate really well. So we'll put it here. My gigantic hand shovel. And then for tomatoes especially, they're one of the very few vegetables in our garden that like to be planted really deep starting off. So you want to make sure you make a nice little deep hole there, and then we're going to take our tomato seeds, and like I showed you guys that tip before, I hope you guys remember, we're going to place the seeds on our tongue so that they can absorb some moisture and it helps them out in the long run. So we'll hold that there. And then next, we're just going to drop them in that nice little deep hole we did. Just like so. And then as they're deep down in that hole, you just want to cover it up. You don't want to pack it down too much, because then it'll risk not allowing your plant to breathe. So we do that, and then the next step is always with any beginner plant, you want to just throw some mulch on it, just so it doesn't dry out while we're waiting for it to pop up. And as I said, it usually takes 6 to 14 days, it said, to germinate. So this is gonna be the first of this series. We're actually gonna grow this together. I'll keep you guys updated. And once it pops out the soil, I'll show you guys that, and then we'll go all the way to fertilizing this plant and all the way to gathering tomatoes and slicing them and eating them together on this channel. So if you got some seeds at home, like I said, I recommend you start them with us today. We're gonna start this journey here together. And as I showed you guys the plant labels before, we're gonna do that for these. I'm gonna put G tomato for grandma tomato. And then, as I showed that tip before as well, the intention we're gonna do with this one is gonna be abundance. So we're gonna do that. This one's been planted with abundance and love. So we'll place that in there too. And just like so, we got a tomato plant, you guys. And then always give it a little bit of water. Tomatoes like to stay moist. They're one of the very few, like I said, that they're a very odd plant, but anyway. Another sow and sip update. We got to share the journal today with a couple of very, I say exciting people. We got to talk to the Zeal family that is over the Learn Foundation, and they're based on equine education for the youth, which is a very empowering thing. And you guys know I love horses. So that was awesome to get a chance to talk with them, and we're gonna reach out with them and plan to do some stuff in the future with them. We also got to talk with Miss Baker over at Peaceful Warrior Apothecary, so you guys go check her out. She's got a lot of good stuff in her store, and she actually invited us to do a book signing there once we get our book published, so that's super exciting. I wanted to share that with you guys. If you haven't yet, make sure you grab your Sew and Sip journal, and your planning guide is still available on the website, and that t-shirt and that patch is still available too, so make sure you grab that as well while you're waiting for these tomato plants to come up. So I hope everybody's doing well on this Monday, and I'll keep you guys updated on this tomato plant, and we'll see you guys on the next one.